Welcome back, everybody. I'm here today to tell you about snake weaving for mages as a way to mitigate against ignite munching. Now, I know you might be saying, why are we even talking about ignite munching? It's going to be fixed. Well, this came out actually before we knew that ignite munching was being fixed. It was worked on by Amy and Dux, and so if you time travel back with me to a time before ignite munching was going to be fixed officially by Blizzard, you will see why this was created, and I'll go into the reasons and just how you could use it for this last week of ranking at least. I know this video is late, and also I left you guys with a cliffhanger before about me being back. I was very John Wick. I'm back, and actually then I got sick, got completely slammed.
That was not me.
I went in for the pyro at the end. It had a hit. I had to get close for it to hit.
You're right. Right? You
Yeah.
sound like you're fucking aged 40 years.
Sounds like the average fusion gamer in our guild.
But now we actually are back. Going to be making the TOGC videos for you guys. Phase 3 BIS, of course, as well. And this one had to be made for Amy, of course. Amy and Dux, thank you guys for making this. It's been a lot of fun using it. And so, yeah, let's get into snake weaving. So snake weaving takes advantage of the fact that the albino snake doesn't have any GCD with summoning it. So you can essentially use it as a ping buffer in between your abilities. And so this is also used by other classes, and now we are using it as a way to add a ping buffer as a buffer in between your abilities, so your fireball and your pyroblast, in order to have a delay so that you don't get ignite munching. And the reasons you would want to use this over the other methods is it's maybe a little bit more reliable or just as reliable as all the other ones. It's fun, and then also the fact that it has no limitations because it's not built with the anti-Q technology on the back end, which no Q has. So the previous video where I covered no Q, I talked about how that one you cannot bind it to your mouse buttons, and if you're using like bartender, you can't use it on like action bar 2 or anything like that. This doesn't have any of the anti-Q technology, so it doesn't have any of those limitations. And so this is why this Weakaura was created, is to remove that anti-Q technology from the back end so that it wouldn't have those limitations. And it was also because we were worried that the anti-Q technology on that back end would be banned pretty soon by Blizzard, because the druids started to use it as a method of disabling the suboptimal ability to use based on the current conditions during the fight. So that way you could just face roll your keyboard, and Weakaura would only allow you to use what's currently most optimal to use. So essentially playing the game for you. And so Amy and Dux figured as soon as the druids figured out how to do that, that Blizzard was going to nuke that technology from the back end, and then we would be back to square one, and we wouldn't have any Weakaura in order to mitigate against ignite munching. So Amy and Dux worked hard on being able to remove that anti-Q technology to give us what we have now, while also using a snake just for both one, fun, and then also because it actually is like the most optimal method to mitigate against ignite munching. So it's kind of amazing how we got here, but now we have snake weaving. And so yeah, how do you use snake weaving? So the first thing you need to do is you actually need to get an albino snake, which you can find at the Magical Menagerie here. Okay, as much as I would love to tell you that it's a world unique pet, that you have to go buy it off the auction house and make me rich, I'm not going to do that. You can just buy it from the vendor here. You're going to go to the Weakaura page, and you're going to copy import string. You can find the link to the Weakaura in the video description, of course. And you're going to want to delete all other Weakauras that you have that are currently for ignite munching. Okay, get rid of all the other ones so you don't have them. Import, of course. Oh, and I actually do have my other ones here. So we're going to actually, we're going to delete those. We're going to delete no Q. We're going to delete anti-Q. And we're going to go to Pyroblast Snake Q. Okay, now we have that. You're going to go to your Pyroblast macro. Okay, you're going to go back to the Weakaura page. You're going to copy the new one that it has here, because you need to update the macro to what the snake weaving one uses. Okay, put that on your keybind, and then you should be good to go. And then as far as the settings for this, the window and offset, I explained in the other video, the no Q video, and I'm just going to use that explanation here once again because they're the exact same. So if you already know this, then you can just skip over to the next section. Otherwise, you should definitely check out this section from my previous video because it explains window and offset very well. Now, many people don't seem to understand what the custom options are, what the window and offset are, so I'm going to explain it because everyone seems to confuse the window with the amount of delay. This is not the amount of delay, okay? The window has to do with the amount of time at the end of your fireball cast that if you press Pyroblast within that window, that it will activate the Weakaura. So 300 milliseconds, this means 300 milliseconds before your fireball cast ends. So the shorter this window, the shorter your freeze will be in the game, but it also means a smaller window for you to have pressed that Pyroblast. So 400 milliseconds being the max. I think the default is 150. It's pretty short. I keep it at 300 just because, I don't know, if I'm lazy with my button pressing, I want to make sure this Weakaura still gets activated, basically, because my spell queue, I just have my spell queue window at 400 milliseconds the default. Why I have it that big, don't ask me. I don't know. I've just gotten used to it, so that's what I have it at now. So that's what your window is, okay? So this is personal preference for your window. If you're a big button masher, you mash stuff all the way until the very end of your cast, then you could have this be smaller and have less of a delay. If you're like me and you want to make sure it goes off and you don't really mind the 300 millisecond stutter, it's not a big deal to you, then you could leave this larger. It's up to you. Play with it as you like. The offset is the amount of delay that will actually be added at the end of the fireball before it casts Pyroblast, okay? And this is going to be based off your ping. 99% of people need to leave all this at probably just at default. Like, you don't need to mess with things. Window, again, personal preference. Offset, you only need to adjust this based on your ping, okay? If your ping is 30 milliseconds or higher, then you can just leave this at 0. That's enough of a gap. So basically what I'm saying is leaving this at 0 will just introduce whatever your ping is as the gap between the fireball and the pyroblast, okay? So if you have 30 milliseconds or higher, you're good to go. But if it's lower than 30 milliseconds, then that's where it starts to get into a small enough of a gap where ignite munching may still occur. You need to have a gap of at least 20 milliseconds, 30 milliseconds to be safe between your fireball and your pyroblast for ignite munching to not occur. And so if your ping is less than 30 milliseconds, say maybe it's 20 milliseconds, you're right next to the server, 10 milliseconds, something like that, then you might need to increase this to ensure that ignite munching isn't happening. That's not going to be the case for most people. I have a pretty small ping, mine is 30 milliseconds. The ladies say it's larger than that when they see it, but it's typically only about 30 milliseconds. I left it at 0 the other night. It was just fine. Okay, I didn't have any ignite munching in my log. So this is only if you have ping under 30 milliseconds, and I really would only worry about it if you're at 20 milliseconds, and then you could still just do a raid with it at offset 0. And if you find ignite munching in your log through the exclamation point munchalizer in the chat, then sure, you would maybe want to increase this up to 10 or something like that. But each offset amount is just the milliseconds that you're adding to that gap. And most people can just leave this at 0 with what your ping is. That's it for snake weaving, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and the Phase 3 BIS video will be coming out next, and then followed from that TOGC spec guide, as well as TOGC tips and tricks for the first week. Also, drop me a follow at twitch.tv/Criteria. You can stay up to date on the latest there. I always have in my stream title the latest news through some kind of a Nightbot command, so exclamation point P3 BIS as well as exclamation point snake weaving have both been in my stream title for a while now, and so everyone who follows me there, as you guys already know if you do follow me there, you've already known about snake weaving and P3 BIS. I don't always have the time to be making a video right away. They get backlogged. Sometimes I have time to make them right away, but not always. And so if you just follow me at Twitch, you can at least stay up to date by checking the stream title and the latest commands there. Also join my Discord, discord.gg/Criteria, and you can check out the Nightbot Commands channel. There's plenty of things pinned there for information, as well as just stay up to date with discussion and ask questions there. And then, yeah, like and subscribe also helps out. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Cheers.